Military developments receive a great deal of attention even in peacetime. Advanced military powers constantly compete to determine whose army is stronger. The United States invests enormous amounts in cutting-edge developments, boasting the world's most powerful fleet and aviation. Russia is actively developing Soviet-era technology and can boast advanced missiles. Recently, China joined this race, putting efforts to reduce its lag. These countries strive not to fall behind each other, and when one country unveils new weaponry, it's likely that others will develop something similar soon. However, each of the three countries has unique weaponry that has no analogs elsewhere. In this video, we will show 9 American military technologies that other countries will be trying to resist. Directed energy weapons. This type of weapon inflicts damage from a distance by firing an intensely concentrated beam of energy at the target. Various types of directed energy weapons shoot different energy types, but the most popular form today is the high-energy laser, or HEL. It operates exactly like a laser from a sci-fi movie, directing a silent beam of energy capable of incinerating a target hundreds of kilometers away from the source. A military contractor, Lockheed Martin, is developing the HEL, intending to use it in missile defense. However, considering that HEL is mounted on the nose of aircraft, it can also destroy ground targets. Long-range acoustic devices. A new type of crowd control weapon was used during protests in Ferguson, Missouri, in 2014. The Ferguson police demonstrated the capabilities of the latest equipment designed to suppress civil unrest, including the long-range acoustic device. Capable of projecting voice commands over a distance of 9 kilometers, LRAD inflicts intense physical pain on anyone within 100 meters along the sound path. LRAD manufacturers prefer to call their products devices rather than weapons, but anyone exposed to LRAD knows it is indeed a weapon. Low-frequency microwave mind control. In the midst of the Cold War in 1965, the Pentagon discovered that the USSR was irradiating the U.S. Embassy in Moscow with extremely low-frequency microwave radiation. Although the radiation was too weak to fry anyone, it was found that the Soviet signal could affect the health or behavior of embassy staff. Instead of stopping it, the Pentagon decided to study the potential consequences of the signal and try to replicate them domestically. DARPA, then a relatively new branch of the U.S. Department of Defense, subsequently launched an initiative called Project Pandora to explore the impact of low-frequency microwave radiation on primates. Although the results were inconclusive, and Project Pandora was not shut down in 1969, the project leader, Richard Cesaro, remained convinced that low-frequency microwave radiation posed a serious threat to U.S. national security. Although the project was closed in 1969, subsequent research has shown that low-frequency microwave and radio waves can indeed have harmful effects on the human body. According to some reports, research in this direction continues to this day. Heart attack-inducing weapon. After the Watergate scandal in the early 1970s, Democratic Senator Frank Church led a committee investigating any CIA actions that could violate the charter of this secret intelligence agency. While Church's committee investigations against the CIA were ultimately ineffective, many interesting findings were revealed, including the so-called heart attack gun. This gun could shoot a lethal dose of shellfish toxin. Darts released by this silent weapon theoretically could leave a puncture comparable to a mosquito bite and would virtually dissolve in the body tissues after delivering the toxin, inducing a heart attack within moments. It is unknown whether this weapon was ever actually used, but as far as is known, it could still be actively used today. Magnetic hydrodynamic munitions. Since World War II, various weapon manufacturers have supplied combatants with weapons called self-propelled penetrators. Using chemical explosions and a metallic insert, these penetrators reach armored vehicles and then change their shape to penetrate deeper into the target. However, traditional penetrators are ineffective and difficult to use, creating a need for more efficient armor-penetrating weapons. DARPA has developed a specialized projectile that can fill this niche, magneto-hydrodynamic explosive munition, or MAHEM. By using electromagnetism to shape and direct a stable stream of molten metal into an armored target, MAHEM is much more adapted than a regular penetrator. Beyond these basic details, nothing else is known about this classified military project. Biological weapons. From 1949 to 1969, the U.S. military conducted biological weapons tests on its own people without their knowledge or consent. One such experiment occurred in 1950 when a U.S. Navy ship sprayed billions of tiny microbes into the atmosphere over San Francisco, causing a massive outbreak of illness and possibly resulting in one death. Another case took place in the New York City subway in 1966 when scientists threw light bulbs filled with bacteria onto the tracks to test how the movement of trains could spread these potentially deadly pathogens. Other experiments involved entire cities being engulfed in a cloud of cadmium zinc sulfide under the pretext of providing a smoke screen to protect the population in case of a nuclear war. The military claims they did all this to learn how to better protect their citizens. Releasing dangerous pathogens into the atmosphere may be the least of the biological threats people could face. In 2016, Director of National Intelligence James Clapper expressed concern that gene editing technologies could become weapons of mass destruction if they fall into the wrong hands. Genetic engineering has made it possible to create secretly developed biological weapons that could wipe out entire populations overnight. Subconscious mind control. It is well known that subconscious messaging is widely used in advertising. This type of marketing usually engages the basic instincts of the population, compelling people to buy a product or service. But what if the principles used in subconscious advertising are also used by the military, for example, for mind control? A declassified CIA document titled, Operational Potential of Subconscious Perception, details a methodology that persuades a person to do something they would not typically do. Flying aircraft carriers. In the late 1920s, the U.S. Navy began studying the tactical potential of airborne aircraft carriers. 2 airships were built from which fighter planes could be launched. Although these airships were not effective, DARPA is developing flying aircraft carriers again. This time, they will carry drones instead of manned aircraft. The program envisions using modified C-130 aircraft with stealthy drones capable of covertly penetrating enemy defenses. Considering DARPA's tendency to suddenly announce plans for already completed projects as soon as they become public, it's quite possible that such a project is already completed. Project Thor. Project Thor is a technology designed by Jerry Pournelle in the 1950s. According to the creator's intention, it was supposed to obliterate enemies with strikes from above. This type of kinetic energy penetrator is theoretically composed of 2 satellites. One serves for guidance, and the other is equipped with 6-meter tungsten rods that are dropped onto the target from orbit. Capable of penetrating hundreds of meters of the Earth's crust, these strikes could inflict damage equivalent to a nuclear explosion but without radioactive fallout. Although the cost of delivering such rods to orbit is considered excessively high, work on Project Thor began during the administration of George W. Bush. Modern U.S. technologies and the U.S. military budget suggest that the U.S. has a good chance of successfully launching this project. What modern military developments do you know about? If this information is not classified, write about it in the comments.